What's going on, good people? It's your man Nat Busy back again with another episode of the Guard Hour Live. We're doing it. You heard? It's on. Once again, it's on. Yes, indeed. Happy Friday to all. We're chilling. We in the building. Got a very special guest coming up in a few. Beautiful sister, beautiful voice. Been doing her thing for a minute, man. She gives me those Minnie Rippleton vibes when I hear her and when I see her, actually. Dope sister, man. I definitely want to talk to her and get all into her journey and find out what's been going on, man. I love it, man. I love this thing I do. I'm able to talk to all these different people and get all this history from them and bring it to you guys. And you probably didn't hear about them before, but you won't forget them after this. So with no further ado, we're going to get right into the proceedings this evening. I ain't going to hold you, as the young kid said. No cap. Just waiting for the beautiful. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Peace, beloved. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. You're crystal clear.
Good.
So, I've been familiar with you for just a short amount of time. Some of my guests may not be familiar with you at all. So could you please introduce yourself and tell the world what it is that you do?
Yes, my name is, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I
You
appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. My name is Cecily, and I'm a vocalist and a songwriter from Washington, D.C., born
now.
and raised. And I primarily do soul music and R&B with lots of influences, primarily of jazz. And I also lead meditations and do affirmations, workshops, and my newest single, Clumsy, just had the video premiere on BET a couple weeks ago, so that was very exciting. And yeah, just happy to be here. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for being here. You could be anywhere in the world, literally, but you're here, and I appreciate it so much. So, when I introduced you, I said that you gave me Minnie Rippleton vibes. Do you get that a lot?
Literally, like every day.
Every day? How do you feel about that? I know some people don't like to be compared, but if there was anybody to be compared to,
Yeah, I don't mind comparisons. I actually to be compared to Minnie Riperton is always like a high compliment. It's it's a lofty thing to try to live up to as well. And
uh,
I think along for a while I really I kind of avoided that label, not or that comparison, not because I was insulted in any way, but only because it just seemed like too much pressure.
yeah,
Um, I remember one time I was performing at the Howard Theater in DC, and the announcer introduced me as the next Minnie Riperton. And I was like, oh God, please don't do that.
yeah. You don't want to
So,
be her for a lot of reasons, you know?
I mean, I also, it's just, also I'm me, I'm not Minnie
Absolutely.
Riperton, but I've also leaned into that comparison a little bit. I like to include some of her songs in my set, and I really love not only her voice and her music and her spirit that comes through the music, but also her aesthetic. And, with the flowers and nature. And I think that's the other reason that people compare me to Minnie Riperton is not only because our voices have a similar tone and character, but also because we have a similar aesthetic. So I'm cool with that now. I'm
Yeah,
cool
you
with it.
got the afro,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So,
The
so how did this
flowers.
absolutely? And I'm old enough that I can remember her, in my earliest memories on the radio and things of that nature. And, we wish she would have been here a lot longer with us
Mm,
to keep doing what she's doing. But we
yeah.
definitely, she will live on forever with the gift that she presented. So for you, how did this whole thing come together? How did you get started in your industry?
Well, I originally wasn't planning to do music as a career. So
Hmm.
it wasn't like I knew from the very beginning that that's what I wanted to do. I actually, from a very young age, I really wanted to work in the world of like international development or international peacemaking, or I wanted to be a diplomat, or I wanted to work for like a nonprofit, and doing work internationally, preferably in West Africa, because I always wanted to go to West Africa.
Okay.
And so I went to school and I got my degree in political science with a concentration in Black studies, and also I took a lot of classes around international relations, uh, and peace and conflict studies and things like that.
Hmm.
But it was probably like the end of my sophomore year in college that I realized that I didn't really want to do that anymore. Like I just realized it wasn't going to make me happy,
Mm.
if that makes
Where did you go to
sense.
school?
I went to a small liberal arts school outside of Philadelphia called Swarthmore College.
Okay.
Yeah, and I graduated in 2012, so like eight years ago now, which sounds crazy to me. I don't know how time flies like that, but I I just realized that the world of international development just didn't speak to me the way that I thought it would, and that what I really wanted to do in life was just help people in some way. And I realized that music had always been my passion. Like I had always done music. I was in all the choirs and I took voice lessons, and like I was always singing, but I realized that music could also be a career, and it could also be a way that I could help people.
So what was
Yeah.
it like making that transition? Do you remember when it was that when you had your first foray into this world of doing music? I know you said you were in choirs and things of that nature, but that's a lot different than trying to pursue this professionally, I'm sure.
It's a lot different. So all through high school, I was in gospel choirs and classical choruses, and I took classical voice lessons. And but it wasn't until college that I kind of realized my focus had been like classical music, because that's what I studied in my voice lesson training. But I realized I didn't want to do classical music. That's another thing me and Minnie Riperton have in common. Actually, she also studied classical voice and opera. But I realized I didn't really want to do classical music. It wasn't calling me. I loved soul music. I loved R&B. I love jazz. And so in college is when I started trying to explore a little bit more. I was performing, I was in a soul music a cappella group at my school. And so I
Really?
started doing more solos, and because I was doing more solos and a cappella, people would see me and then invite me to perform at little functions, on campus and at nearby schools. And so that was kind of like my first experience really of having like stage experience, of performing and getting used to trying to captivate an audience on my own in some way. But I feel like my first real experience in terms of like the industry side of things was after I told my family, I told my mom first that I really wanted to do music full time. And while I was still in college, I told her this,
How did
and she
that go?
asked, I know, right? Everybody always asks me that. Well, she asked me like why, and I told her, well, first she said, I mean, she asked me why did I want to switch, because I'd been so serious about two things in my life. I had been serious about I really want to work in the world of international development, and I had been really serious about music, singing. Um, so I feel like she probably already knew in her head it was a toss up.
Yeah.
But obviously, choosing music just seemed like such a harder path, like a much harder path.
Mhm.
Um, but she asked me why, and I told her or how I came to that decision. I told her like the things I was learning in school made me realize that this industry, the world of international development, was not for me. It wasn't something that was going to make me happy or bring me joy. And I thought I really wanted to pursue music. And so she called up
If I
some
could just take a
family
second.
members.
I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I don't mean, but if when you talk about international development, what did that encompass? I'm hearing you say that, but I'm not so sure what that is.
So for me in particular,
Hmm.
I really wanted to work for the United Nations.
Okay.
Um, because just from a young age, something about the idea of all these nations coming together and working for a common good just really
Mm,
excited me.
okay.
And the United Nations does all different types of projects all over the world, in terms of helping children, assisting in peace negotiations, trying to end conflicts, working around, poverty elimination or eradication. And so that's really what I wanted to do, is I
Right.
kind of wanted to be like, I wanted to work for the United Nations, like on the ground in places and like do that kind of work. But I think um, what I learned in school about the history of development, like as a concept, didn't sit well with me because it was really based in like a Eurocentric understanding of the world.
Colonialism type stuff.
Right. It can definitely be a form of neocolonialism. And also the more I learned about the impact that institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund had on developing economies. Even that word developing economies doesn't sit right with me, but the terminology is a whole other issue. But
No,
just
no.
the impact that these institutions had on developing economies, particularly in the 80s and early 90s. And I just felt like people were just experimenting with people's lives and didn't really know what they were doing. And I just couldn't I just couldn't see myself as someone who loves human beings, but specifically really cares and loves Black people. Like
Hmm.
and I couldn't see myself kind of operating as a tool of neocolonialism, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you bring this to your mom, and she asks you, why? Why do you want to do this? Knowing that you had this international development plan early on. She apparently she knows you can sing. Uh, so you were about to say what the rest of that conversation was like with mom.
Right. So we had the conversation and she said, okay, let's work on it.
Mm,
My mom is like I'm a thinker a lot of the time. My mom is a doer.
wow.
So if you tell her you want to do something, she's like, start now. So I told her this is what I wanted to do. So she called up some of my family members who had worked in the industry in the past, two of my cousins, and they reached out to me and we started talking about, and then my mom also started sending me books. So I was already in school, right? So I
Yeah.
had plenty of reading to do, but she started sending me books about, uh, she sent me Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by
That's smart.
David Passman. That's like a
Yeah.
critical text. Yeah. And a lot of other books, a book about artist management, a book about publishing. Like she just started sending me books about the business side of things.
Hmm.
Um, and I started trying to read those books. And I guess really what it came down to is you asked me about my first experience, like with the industry itself. And this is what it kind of led up to. So, my cousin is friends with a, uh, a producer in LA who has a resume to rival any resume, honestly. His name is Benjamin Wright,
Okay.
and he's not a household name. He's originally from Mississippi, also lived in Chicago for a long time, and his specialty is string arrangements.
Okay.
So he did all the string arrangements for Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones's first project
Get out
together.
of here. So he goes back.
Yes, yes. He's
Wow.
old school. Old school, yeah.
Wow.
Um, and he's also worked with, Raphael Sadiq and Outkast and Justin Timberlake and, like newer people, but his specialty is string arrangements, but he also does production. So my cousin Michelle put me in touch with Mr. Wright. He talked on the phone a few times. I sent him something I had recorded at the studio at my school. He liked my voice. He was interested in, just working with me. And so for spring break, I flew out to LA and I recorded a song with him in his studio. And just being in the studio, firstly, with all these platinum and gold records all over the wall was intimidating.
It was. I can
Um,
imagine.
being a little, what was I at the time, 20 years old, maybe 21. Being in the just in creative space with not only Mr. Wright, who, like I said, I work with everybody, but also the engineer for the session was Reggie Dozier, who is the brother of the songwriting group Dozier and Holland and now blinking. But they wrote songs for everybody.
Really?
And Reggie, his brother, Reggie Dozier, engineered a lot of those sessions. So he's worked with everybody too. So there was just it felt like there was a lot of pressure. And they did their best to make me feel comfortable. But it was just a new experience for me. Like I had been in a studio maybe twice before, and it was like with friends, you know? So it
Yeah.
was just a very intimidating experience. And I think for me, what I learned from that experience is um, that I need to know what's important to me before I work with anybody else. Because while the song that we created, I think is beautiful, it was on my first project. I felt like I, in those sessions, I didn't really have a voice or that I didn't know how to use my voice. I don't mean my singing voice. I mean like,
I mean, like letting them know what you wanted to convey
right.
versus just leaning on their expertise.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I think as an artist, that was a really important lesson for me. Um, and I think in those early stages, there was like a few opportunities that came up that I ended up passing on because I realized like I'm not ready yet.
Mm.
Not necessarily like my voice has gotten stronger, but I don't mean like ready as a singer. I mean ready as an artist
Yeah, it's real out here.
because I wanted to know, who I am, what do I want to say, what's my message, what's my purpose. And I feel like especially when you're young and you can sing and you're cute or whatever, there's a lot of people that want to show up and mold you into something and sell you. And I knew that wasn't going to work for me. That wasn't going to work for me. So, yeah, that was a long answer, but that's how I got started in the industry.
No
Yeah.
doubt. Now, are you a signed artist or are you independent?
I'm independent.
Now, is that
Hmm.
independent as in you're on an independent label or are you the label?
I am the label. I
Oh, wow.
own my own label. I am the label. Yeah.
So, are you a one man, one woman outfit, or do you have a collective that guides you along the way, helps you out?
I would say I'm 75% independent. Like I don't have a manager. I have a dear friend named Sherry Thompson who helps me with PR and booking, and she's wonderful. And I have some people that I'll call on for advice or, just to consult with sometimes. I have a lawyer, but they're not on retainer. It's just case by case stuff. But I mean, I manage myself. I pretty much make all these decisions on my own. I was actually planning on getting an assistant this year before everything went all COVID-19 on us.
Yeah, that's been crazy.
But yeah, I've just been really blessed that over the years opportunities have come to me, and most of the things that I've most of the things that have come to me have been like nice big opportunities that help me to up level in some way. So yeah.
Wow. And I know you had the luxury of having the support of your mom. A lot
And
of
my
parents,
dad.
yeah, and your dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did see beautiful pictures of your mom and dad. I think you said about 43 years they've been doing this thing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's dope. That's
yeah.
dope. But to have that kind of support from your parents, that is extremely a luxury because there are a lot of kids that have been in college and they want to tell their parents, I want to do music. And it's like, are you crazy? Like we've raised you, we put you in school, and you're right here at the finish line and you decide you want to sing. It usually doesn't necessarily work like that in the way of support. So having that support was a good thing. Your mom giving you those reference materials and putting you in contact with some of your family members and putting you in position was another a beautiful thing for you. But what was
Yeah.
it that let you know that independent was the way to go? Because I'm pretty sure you had a few offers sent your way, right?
Well, I think I think independent has been good for me because it's forced me to understand the business
Hmm.
because I'm not relying on anyone else to do everything for me. Um, and I think that now, is a good time to be independent. But I'm not gonna say I don't have a strong desire to sign to a big major label and get kind of lost in
Yeah,
everything, which was usually what happens, right?
yeah, a lot of
But
time.
yeah, most of the time, honestly. But I am trying to build my team more. I'll say that. So I think I'm at a point where I want to have less responsibility to focus on the things that really mean the most, which are, of course, the music, the writing, the creative process. And I think one thing I learned doing it independently is that you will run yourself ragged trying to teach yourself something, trying to do something that somebody else is already expert in.
Mm.
Right. So I think it's good to have those experiences because when you find those people, then you know what they're supposed to be doing. You know what their actual job is and you can hold them accountable to that. But I do think that like with every business is really important to learn how to delegate and how to hire people and how to grow. And so that's something I'm working on now. Yeah.
Wow. Your poise, it's a little, what do you want to call it? I'm just taken aback by it because if I heard you correctly, you said you just graduated college not that long ago. So you seem to be, you have the fountain of youth going on for you right there. Not you are the fountain. You're young still. So with a lot of artists, I've been in the industry myself. You don't necessarily get this kind of poise, or you don't get this kind of awareness.
Hmm.
What would you attribute that to? Would that go along with the wellness aspect of what else you do, in the way of
Hmm.
meditation and things of that nature?
I think that might be part of it. I think two things. One, I think I was just born an old soul, and that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Because I remember my sister telling me, my sister's 12 years older than me, by the way.
Okay.
And I remember this was at her uh, wedding rehearsal dinner, she made a speech. And we all, it was a small gathering, so lots of people made speeches and stuff. But I remember my sister made a speech and said that, I'm always trying to be like my little sister.
Wow.
Or something to that effect. And that was such a big compliment coming from her because I'm always trying to be like her. But I think one, I was born an old soul, and two, my parents, like you said, they're amazing people. Just the way they support their children and nurture their interests, and so I was really blessed to be able to go to really good schools that taught me how to express my ideas, taught me one that my ideas were important and that I have agency in the world, and two, taught me how to express myself in writing and in speech. And also just growing up doing voice lessons and recitals and all that, you kind of get over the it helps you get past the nerves of public speaking, right? And being able to form your thoughts in front of people. So that was really helpful too. So yeah, I think it's a combination of things.
That's pretty dope. And I did hear you mention delegating when you're an independent artist such as yourself, or independent business person, period, knowing how to delegate. So
Hmm.
for that artist or potential artist that's listening now, and they're at their wits' end about which direction to go in, we're in a place right now where there isn't as much A&R type things going on where people are recruiting you. They want to see the work first
Right.
before these labels even attempt to talk to you. What advice would you give a young artist if they're thinking about going the route that you did in the independent sense?
Mm. Take your time.
Mm.
I think that there's there's this pressure that you have to kind of like make it when you're young.
Mm.
And I feel like if you're at a place now where you're not positive, like you've written a few songs and you're working on your craft, you're getting better. That's an important thing. Always work on your craft, always take lessons, always be learning, constantly be learning and growing. But I think there's this pressure to always be like, make it happen now.
Yeah.
And if you want that growth to be sustainable, you have to know who you are and what your purpose is. And you can't let anyone define that for you, or you're going to end up feeling really lost. And I think a lot of young artists end up feeling that way and they get. And so I think it's very important to just take the time to really know who you are, keep improving, and seek out. One thing my mom told me that was very helpful early on, because she works in the corporate world. And she told me that I needed to do informational meetings with people.
Wow.
And that was really helpful to me. So find people who are just above the level you were at and maybe just above that level,
Mm-hmm.
and ask them if they'll just have lunch with you, have coffee with you. I mean, nowadays, have a Zoom meeting with you.
Lunch and learn things.
Right, exactly. And I don't like the phrase pick their brain because it sounds very exploitive,
Yes.
but just listen. First of all, people like to be listened to. People like to tell their stories. People like to feel like they're helping you in some way. So just give people the opportunity to do that and build those connections and learn from that knowledge, because there's a lot that people learn through the process. Um, so yeah, I would recommend that as well. And I want to say hi to Geneva too, who I saw is tuning in. Hi Geneva, hi
Hi,
Sherry.
Geneva.
Just say hi to people. Yeah.
Man, um, I almost feel like your sister. And I want to be like you when I grow up. It's just so amazing to hear you speak with such knowledge, such poise, and very matter of factly about a lot of things that when you think about it, it should have been common knowledge almost. But because
Mm,
we have the angst of what this world is, and you're always up against somebody else's idiosyncrasies, you got gatekeepers, you got promoters, you got marketers, and you got these people that play on your emotions as it pertains to the things that you care the most about. You can't get
mm.
swept up in somebody else's storm and not realize that you were chilling over here in your own world and you could have did it your way. And time is something that usually allows you to get that picture a lot clearer. So I'm just so
Mm.
amazed that you're able to get it so much earlier than a lot of us. And
Well, I think that frustration, I don't get me wrong, I still get frustrated with the gatekeepers, and I think one thing I'm realizing is that now, as much as you can, now is the perfect time to go around the gatekeepers.
yeah,
Because we have this.
yeah, for
We
sure.
have this. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this whole COVID-19 has been the great equalizer in some sense.
Mm,
A lot of people have to come down off the high horse. Um, you know, when you can't physically put up a gate sometime, you can't control a lot of things. And I mean, if you think about the bouncers that were like, the god of the club because they get to say who comes in and who doesn't.
right, right.
They got to be humble now. You look at some of the bottle service girls or just some of the even industry executives who make so much money off of,
Mm.
concert promotions and things of that nature. When that's not happening, and what are we, about 4 months into this thing now? Almost 5 months into this?
Yeah, man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my life, and I've been around here for a minute. You've never experienced this type of rest, because it's really like a
Mm.
rest. Like you gotta chill, and if you're not taking this time to get your head together, um, then you're really missing out. Um, Now that brings me to my next point. How is the meditation aspect of it uh, helped you in that sense?
Yeah. So meditation is something that I started to explore mostly, I want to say in 2014.
Hmm.
So I guess about 6 years ago. It was around this time, like I had, I'm trying to remember when I took that class. I don't remember if it was 2014 or 2015, but I actually took a meditation class
Okay.
at this yoga studio. If anyone's in this area, there's a black-owned yoga studio in Upper Marlboro called Spiritual Essence Yoga. And Dana, who runs the space, is really amazing. And I went to her meditation class. It was a 6 week, like once a week, 6 week class of just how you practice, and that was a good introduction for me. And out of that, I decided that I wanted to meditate. I set a goal for myself. I'm going to meditate every day for 30 days.
Mm.
And I think I did it. I think I did like 25 or 28 days or something like that, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good. And I noticed that it really offered me um, just a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a place of non-resistance, just of like
Serenity.
being, yeah, just being able to go with the flow a little more, not get really caught up in kind of like whatever your triggers are as much.
Okay.
And an important part of my practice too is journaling.
Mm.
Uh, I started off the year actually with a 30-day journaling challenge that I invited other people to do with me. And I made like a little workbook to tell people more about journaling and, offer people just some guidance on how to approach it. Because journaling has been such an important part of my self-care, self-healing, self-awareness practice. Just because a lot of times, sometimes you just be in a bad mood and you don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
And I feel like journaling offers me the why.
Mm.
It offers me the, you know what, this is something that happened a couple of days ago that I haven't really talked to anyone about or that I haven't really explored that's still bothering me. And I can talk about it here. Like this is a place, like my journal is a place of no judgment. I can talk about anything. And for me, that's really, really helpful. Especially as a business owner too, like that doesn't have a big team. I don't have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of. So a
Mhm.
lot of times my ideas just start in my journal, of kind of exploring like what am I working on? Like, what are my goals? What am I trying to do here? And just figuring out like the mechanics of things too. Like, how can I work this out? And then a lot of times my journal is just affirmations. Like, affirmations are a really important part of my practice as well. And I actually led my first virtual affirmations workshop.
Mm.
Um, what was that? Last Sunday. So, and that was really wonderful to be able to do and to share with people. Um, but affirmations are just statements. Like some of my affirmations at the moment are, I choose joy. Like
Mm.
that's one of my affirmations of the moment. Another one of my affirmations is I seek to understand. So, just
Yeah, that's an
holding my,
affirmation of mine. I say I seek to understand before I seek to be understood.
mm, hmm
Because a lot of times you're trying to push your point of view across to somebody, and you're not even trying to understand if they're even at the level to comprehend where you're coming from. So yes, seeking to understand is a very um, important affirmation. Uh,
yeah.
as it pertains to journaling, though, I guess I'm a little sensitive with that because I was a little brother growing up, and my sister had a diary, which is another, I guess, word for journal. and I would get in so much trouble for finding her diary and oh ma, like try to. So I'm so scared that like if I write down some of these thoughts that be in my mind, somebody will find them before I want them to, and they'll have access to my soul almost, and that's a little
Mm,
scary. How would you?
yeah.
What would be your advice to somebody like me with a mindset like that?
I mean, that's a real fear. I actually totally understand that. I think I actually am really I have this thing like when people do documentaries and they use people's like diaries or journals to like help tell their story, it feels a little like off to me. Like it just feels a
Yeah,
little wrong to invade someone's privacy like that, like their personal letters, that type of stuff. So I totally get that. But I feel like at the end of the day, it just comes down to, making a choice. Like the likelihood of someone finding your personal words and using it against you is small compared to the likelihood that you will journal and feel some type of freedom or release or improved self-awareness through the practice. So I feel like, the fears keep us from a lot of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're so big and we're so tough, but we be the most scary people out here when it comes to our feelings, or what people think of you or how you're showing up in the world. That's a scary thought sometimes, but and listening to you and putting that with some of the other things I've heard in these recent years, because I think 2012 is when I became aware of meditation and even just the whole wellness lifestyle and juicing and things of that nature, just being
Mm,
in tune with the universe. But prior to that, man, there was a lot of anxiety when you just think about what's happening outside of you, and letting that determine what goes on inside of you.
mm,
Um, so when I heard that you guided these meditations and I just started paying attention to your page a lot more and seeing what you were conveying, I was definitely taken aback. It's just um, if we all could have that presence of mind, if we could all have that peace of mind, I'm sure the world would be a much better place. Um, so with all of that being said, where are you now in your journey? Like, what's to come? What do you have on your horizon?
mm. You mean career-wise or spiritually or?
Let's talk spiritually because if we don't get that together, there is no career. So
Yeah.
spiritually, what do you find yourself? What do you feel yourself?
Yeah. It's interesting because what you were just talking about like the external things and how they impact you. I was just talking to one of my voice students because I teach voice lessons as well, and she's been attending some of my meditations on Instagram, and she asked me like what were my upcoming meditations, and I told her that one of the ones I wanted to do, the title of it is Sitting with Impermanence. This idea of just accepting the fact, the reality that nothing lasts forever, you know, that you just have to be right now and truly enjoy that and, feel that the sacredness of the right now and to not let the fear of, oh, I'm going to lose this or this is going to go away or this person might die or, you know, I mean, not that those real world fears aren't important in some way, right? Like we live in a reality that has poverty and homelessness and illness and disease and that but at the end of the day we still need to find the peace of this particular moment and just knowing that nothing that you're seeking can offer you permanence, right? Nothing that you're seeking can offer you permanence. I think as human beings, we have this desire to build, you know, memorials and build empires and build castles and build all these things that will outlive us.
Legacy.
Right, but I'm speaking particularly of physical legacy, right? This idea that we want to build something that'll last forever. And one thing that was really interesting to me when I was in Arizona, I went to this Native American ruins called Montezuma. And one thing that they told us is that the way that they built this village or this town, it's in the face of the cliff. And the one reason they did that is because they wanted it to disappear. Like they built it in natural elements that over time would disappear. And I thought that that was really beautiful and such a deep understanding of life, you know, and of just in general that everything will disappear. So why why do we have this desire? It's like almost the opposite of like the Roman Empire, you know, who
Yeah.
built all these magnificent things, or even like, you know, the Egyptians who build these pyramids in perfection that they want to last forever.
Hmm.
So I think, and to bring that around to your actual question, which is, you know, what am I kind of, where am I going? I feel like I'm just getting more in tune with myself, just really falling into that of being with the right now and being with sitting with the impermanence of things and not letting that the fear of things not being permanent like stop me from enjoying the moment or even stop me from doing or acting or you know creating within the world. um you know, just trying to be a better wife, trying to be a better daughter, a better sister, a better aunt, a better friend, a better granddaughter, trying to be a better self. Um, One thing that I've been trying to cultivate or working on cultivating is I have this saying that, you know, I don't know if I came up with it or I think I came up with it, but but I'm not going to take credit because I might have just read something similar
Yeah.
somewhere. But you know, is it's this the saying is like in meditation, I think, therefore I am simply becomes I am and eventually becomes be. Like you drop the I, right?
Speed.
Yeah, you just be like you were saying, like the oneness, the unity of all things, you know. I think that's some of what I'm trying to do now is like I understand the you know, the I think, therefore I am just becomes I am. And then I think right now I'm working on dropping the I, you know. I think as an artist in particular, I mean, I'm always focused on myself, you know, like I'm always focused on what I'm doing, what I'm writing, what I'm saying, what I look like, you know, what I'm presenting to the world, promoting myself, promoting my work. So I feel like in my 20s I did so much of that and I just turned 30 this year. And yeah, I just turned
You're
30
a
this
whole
year.
baby out here.
I know, right?
Jeez.
I can't take credit for that. That's good genes. I'm just thankful for that. But
Yo.
I feel like now as I get older, like just turning the just focusing on the unity of things, you know, on my loved ones, on you know, just being present in the moment and really enjoying things and yeah, just figuring out life. You know, you're always figuring out life. So
It's an ongoing
yeah,
process, and nobody's gonna get out alive. So, you know, while we're here, let's just have make the most of it. Um,
right. The spirit lives though.
yeah, there's a practice I've been looking into called Stoicism, which
Hmm.
almost speaks to that impermanence, where there's a Latin phrase called memento mori, which says, "Remember you die. Therefore, don't forget to live." Like
Hmm.
you're either gonna be here for a long time or a good time or both. But while you're here, make the most of it. But that
Hmm.
also leads me to ask you about that beautiful single that I listened to a little earlier called "Clumsy." Can you
Hmm.
give us some backstory on that and how that came to be and what you're actually conveying in that song?
Yeah. So firstly, I want to encourage anyone who's watching. We just released the music video about 2 weeks ago for Clumsy. So It premiered on BET, which was amazing. And I worked with an amazing director named Sorrel Shafan, another Black woman, and we put a little, just a little moment of beauty in the world for you. So I encourage you definitely to go check that out on YouTube after, me and Not Busy finish our conversation. But yeah, so Clumsy is from the album Awakening Part One.
Mhm.
And the album is all about exploring unconditional love and what that looks like, what that feels like, what that acts like. Um, and every song on the project was inspired by a quote from a book that I've read on unconditional love. So basically, a few years ago, I read this book. It was in January 2017, actually. I remember exactly. I should say in May of 2015, I actually read the book for the first time, called How to Love by Thich Nhat Hanh, who's like a Zen Buddhist teacher, one of my favorite authors and teachers. And it just really opened my mind, opened my spirit to starting to understand love in a deeper way and really commit myself to love in a deeper way. And also made me realize that, a lot of what we learn about love is through media, um,
Yes.
and also through family.
Mhm.
And a lot of what we learn, we just accept as fact, without really interrogating it. And so I realized I had a lot of interrogating to do.
Yeah.
And so in January of 2017, I read another book called The Mastery of Love, A Practical Guide to Relationships. And that's by an author named Don Miguel Ruiz. He
Oh,
also
for agree.
wrote The Four Agreements. Yep.
Yes.
hmm Yeah, that's his most famous book.
Yeah,
But to
changed my life.
me, really, yeah.
Yeah.
The Mastery of Love changed my life too.
Gotta read that one. It was on my list, but
It's
I don't.
amazing. It really is. And I mean, he kind of fools you because he calls it a practical guide to relationships, but then when you read it, you realize, oh, this is all about me.
Absolutely, because the strongest and most important relationship is the one with yourself. Because that, if you don't understand that, then a lot of what you're doing is projecting. You know,
hmm
um, you know, it,
Exactly.
we tell ourselves these stories over and over till we believe them. That this person hurt me, or I would have had this if it were not for this person, or
Yeah.
no, it's all you. But what you don't know will hurt you. So you definitely have to get in tune with that. And
Yeah.
you said that led to you writing a great deal of these songs that were on this
Right.
project.
Right. So I read that book. I read those two books. I reread the Thich Nhat Hanh book again, and then I read a book called All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Mm,
And one thing that came out of those reading those books is what I said before, that a lot of what we learn about love is through media.
mhm.
And especially for Black people, a lot of Black Americans, a lot of what we learn about love is through R&B music, you
Yes.
know? And I consider myself to be a soul R&B artist. And so I realized like I only want to tell stories and put out music that is going to give a healthy understanding of what love is and what love can be.
Hmm.
And I want to be really intentional about that because I see songs, we're talking about affirmations, I see songs as affirmations, right?
Yeah.
So, um, whatever you repeat to yourself, whatever you tell yourself becomes real, and through music as well. So, I started rereading these books when I was just, decided to start writing the album. And I would just underline certain quotes, circle certain words I liked. And I just started incorporating them into the songs. And Clumsy was one of those songs. And it's pulled from two different quotes in the Thich Nhat Hanh book, How to Love.
Mm.
The first one, and this one I have to paraphrase because I don't remember it in its entirety, but he used the word clumsiness.
Mm.
And he said, um, even if we love someone in our clumsiness, we can still hurt them.
Mm.
And first of all, I was like, you know,
That's
snap,
heavy.
snap, snap, you know.
Yeah, that's heavy right there.
And I just love that word. I love the word clumsy. Like as a writer, I just felt like that's such a good word. Like it says
Yeah.
so much with so little. And at that point, I wrote down, like in my journal, like, you know, my songwriting journal, I wrote down the first few words of the song, which are, please forgive my clumsy fingers. They can't hold a heart. And, uh, and then the next quote that inspired that song was from, also from the same book when he says, if you, um, if you do not know how to love, you will wound the person that you love.
Mm.
And I just almost took that and put it right in the song. If you
We
listen
ain't
to
gonna tell
the,
nobody.
yeah, if you listen to the vamp of the song, I say, if you don't know how to love, then you'll hurt the one you try to love, and I don't want to hurt you.
Mm.
That's, and basically, you know, that song, writing that song was really a journey for me. Like writing any song is a journey for me. Usually the first verse and chorus come like that.
Hmm.
No problem. It's the second verse and the bridge where I'm like sitting with it, like, please, someone give me some guidance.
Yeah, because you don't want to be basic. You don't want to overdo it. You want it to flow.
Right. You want it to flow, and also you have to keep people's attention, right? So, like in the first verse of the song, I say, you know, please forgive my clumsy fingers. They can't hold a heart. The more I want it, the more they tremble, insecure from the start. And that's kind of the first verse, right? And then the chorus is, I can't know you yet because I don't know myself. I can't hold you yet because I can't hold myself. And I can't love you yet because I don't love myself the way I should.
Wow.
And I thought that that was it was very honest for me at the time writing that.
Yeah.
And also I just felt like it's important to say, you know, like it's okay to not be ready for something sometimes. And I feel like, you know, I'm the type of person like I tended to be in back to back relationships in some way. Like I was rarely by myself. And I needed the time to really like get to know myself and like do all this exploration, all this meditating, all this journaling to be ready to love myself the way I deserved and love someone else the way I deserved. And I think the turning point in that song for me is the bridge, and my mom is on here saying, "Sing the line." Okay, I'll
That's
sing the
mom. Hey,
next part.
mom.
That's my mom. Yeah, hi, mommy. Um, and the in the bridge, I say, you know, I can't use you to make me happy. Uh, Save me. Now I can't remember the words. She made me sing it. Now I can't remember the words. That's crazy. But basically, I'm saying like I can't use you. I can't ask you to make me happy. I can't use you to make me feel free. I can't ask you to save me. I can't ask you to feed me. You know, like, and a lot of things in relationships, like sometimes you do need someone to feed you when you're not feeding yourself. You do need someone to hold you, you know, care for you. But at the same time, like, you can't expect that from someone else and not know how to give it to yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you also have to be able to tell someone how to take care of you, you know? Like, because like love languages, you know, everyone has different love
For sure.
languages. Um, so yeah, I really love that song. I'm just happy everybody else loves
That's
it.
dope, man. I was taken aback when I saw the clip, and I was like, wow, you know. And anybody that dabbles in songwriting or whatever, I'm an MC, but it's still the same concept is conveying that message verbally that resonates, you know, and
Hmm.
what you just conveyed, it resonates. Also, I can't recall the name of the clip that I used from the song. I don't know if you saw the last advertisement clip I
Yeah,
did.
No Room for Fear. That's the name of the song.
Now, do you remember those words that I caught? Because they just spoke to me. I don't know if this was the beginning of the song, but
I
your
don't remember
wordplay
which clip you
is
used.
yeah. I'm gonna go back and listen to it as soon as I'm done. I'm gonna get your whole project and whatever other
Thank you.
projects you have. That's gonna be in my catalog now because man, I am amazed with your talent. I am amazed with your energy. You have a very calm and peaceful, welcoming energy. Um, you did mention when you said when you talked about people talking to people who are a level above them or a level above that, and I know that lends itself to mentoring. Are you, do you have a mentor? And I'm sure that you are a mentor. So what is that process like for you in the mentoring aspect?
You know, it's funny because I actually did an Instagram live with my really good friend Bridget Boache just a few weeks ago, specifically about mentoring. And I have had mentors throughout my career. One of them was a person my mom put me in touch with after I told her that I wanted to do music,
Hmm.
which was a friend of hers who is a singer named Vanice Thomas. If you're familiar with the world of soul music, you probably know her dad was Rufus Thomas.
Shaka Khan?
No, no, not
Oh,
not
sorry.
that Rufus.
That's the
Rufus
Rufus.
Thomas, who was a big like soul music, you know, in the 50s, and his fame. I think his most famous song is "Funky Chicken." Honestly,
Okay, now we all know about the funky chicken.
we all know about the Funky Chicken, and then
Yeah.
also her sister was Carla Thomas, who's another soul singer. Yeah, but Vanice is a great artist in her own right. She does a lot of blues. She sang background for Aretha Franklin for many years, actually,
Okay.
as well. Um, And she put me in touch with my mom, put me in touch with Vanice. She was really helpful in just giving me more studio experience, helping me to, oh, my mom said Stax Records. Yeah. Yeah. Rufus Thomas, like, kind of helped build Stax Records, actually, in that
I'm gonna
whole
have to
kind of
watch that
Memphis soul
documentary.
sound. Yeah. I need to watch that, actually. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Van East was really helpful to me. Mr. Wright, Benjamin Wright in LA has been helpful to me. Um, and many others. Judy Klein, who is not a performer but has been in the industry for a long time. I actually call her a lot when I just need advice. It's really helpful. And I mean, for me, I've had, I don't know if I have anyone in particular that I would call a mentee, but I really do try to make myself available to anyone who's just, you know, trying to figure out what the hell to do in this crazy industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't claim to know a lot, but I'm more than willing to share the little bit that I do know and what I've found to be true. So, and I do that whenever I can. And I connect with different kind of younger artists all the time. And not even always younger artists. I've actually had conversations with a lot of artists who are older than me, but are, you know, learning more about streaming and learning more about how to use the social media platforms and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're in a prime position because you're right at the top of the young class, and you're right at the beginning of us older people. So you bridge the gap in that way. But
Yeah.
I do want to thank you again, Cecily, for making yourself available, for giving us so much good energy and so much good information. I implore anybody that listened today, anybody that's going to see this later, please follow this young lady. Please support her in every way possible because she is an essential worker to our souls and our spirits. It's very necessary. Thank you again. Thank you, Miss L, for introducing me to this young lady's work and making
Yeah.
the introduction that led us here today. But Cecily, thank you so much. Thank you, Bells 110. For producing such a beautiful spirit and allowing us to share her with you. But it's on all streaming platforms. Cecily, that's it. There's no last
Yeah,
name. It's
yeah, just one.
CEC.
Cecily. And you can find my music. I have 3 albums: Awakening Part One, Songs of Love and Freedom, and then a self-titled project called Cecily. And you can find all my work on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and Google Play and Pandora and Tidal and anywhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Get
thank
all
you
of that.
again.
No, no
Yeah.
problem at all. Thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you again. I can't wait till this passes so I can meet you face to face, soak up some of
Yeah.
that aura you got, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yes, beloved. And everybody, have a great weekend. Everybody be safe, stay blessed, stay positive, and we will see you on Monday. Thank you,
Yes.
Cecily.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.